Hey everybody, it's LaRon Butler, your local Atlanta realtor and military relocation professional. Today I want to shoot a video about due diligence. What is it and how does it affect my real estate transaction? But before I get started, I want to tell you why I thought about this topic today. Number one, I'm here and we just got finished doing a home inspection at a home for one of my clients out here in Marietta. If I could show you, I'll give you a walkthrough of just the backyard, beautiful backyard. I'm on this big deck. Let's see. Can we walk around this deck right now? See that? That's my 360. That's my 360, okay? Now I'm going to move into better lighting so that I can see, so that you can see me. But before we get started, all I want to do is one, bring another video, bring value to my followers and my potential clients and my past clients. There's a lot that goes on in a real estate transaction, and I want to do my best to share with you what goes on, to be transparent and just to be accessible to you if you ever have any real estate needs or questions. So right now, I have a buyer. We just went under contract. A VA buyer, by the way. You guys remember I'm a military relocation professional. My client is moving here to Atlanta from out of state, South Carolina to be exact, a veteran buyer. And so we can also discuss some of the things that the VA is going to look for as we go forward. But right now we're in the due diligence period. And so I thought, what better time to address this topic while we're going through it at this very moment. So once a buyer and a seller come to an agreement or binding contract, the next phase is the agreed upon due diligence period. It could be anywhere from 5 days to 10 days. But what the due diligence period is, it's the period that allows the buyer to further examine the property that they have agreed to purchase for the purchase price. Okay? And in the event that they find any errors or issues or concerns, it's their window. The due diligence period is their window to back out, terminate, and walk away from the deal, if that's what they choose to do. Most cases that doesn't happen, so for you sellers, don't get worried, but it's just a part of the process, right? It's the due diligence where you do your due diligence and make sure that you are making a sound investment and a sound decision. So before I go into it, if there's anyone watching, say hello. If you have any questions while I go along, feel free to ask. And also, don't forget, if you ever have any questions for me, don't hesitate to drop a line, inbox me, and you can comment below. I've got questions. You know, I'm accessible, I'm reachable, I'm active, okay? So before we get into it, remember, you can catch me and like my page, Own Georgia Real Estate, on Facebook, as well as I'll post my other social media tags. As always, I'm approachable. So let's go right into it. So due diligence is the period where a buyer actually has the opportunity to review the details and reflect on the purchase and the risk without risking their deposit. So when you go on an agreement, you put earnest money deposit down so that the seller knows you show good faith by putting your earnest money down and showing that you're serious about this purchase, that you just don't want to tie it up and then walk away. So you put down an earnest money. Now, with earnest money, if you go through the transaction, you will get your earnest money back. If you walk away from the transaction outside of your due diligence period or any other of your contingency periods, you run the risk of losing your earnest money. So the reason we have due diligence is so that you can take the opportunity to inspect your property to work on the title or to review any HOA or association fees, dues, and things of that matter. So let's go through it. Typically on the contract, you're going to say, I request a 7-day or 10-day due diligence period. And in those 10 days, you're going to inspect the property. You may even get an appraisal done during that time if you want. You may even get the property surveyed, right? So you can make sure that you're getting the actual amount you want, that the property says you've got an acre and you got 3/4 of an acre. Surveys can be done during that time as well as title search. You want to definitely run a title search on the property and make sure there's a clean title, and you want to confirm any condo or HOA homeowner association rules and guidance and governance. All right. So we just got finished doing an inspection, and don't be alarmed that your inspection will return things back to you that are natural wear and tear. But that is not what is going to break the deal. Natural wear and tear, things that happen to a property normally, okay? Rocks fling on the property, you got a little dent on the siding. You're not going to walk away. You're not going to walk away from a property because of a dent on the side, okay? What we're talking about are things like safety and hazard issues, mold, water leaks, ventilation, HVAC, things like that are not working, rodents, things like that. Those are the things that you want to catch and address. And if you do find that there are some concerns, you still have a window of opportunity to work them out with the seller, okay? So for you sellers out there, it's best, and when you're working with your listing agent, if you know that there are concerns with your property, go ahead and address them, or be prepared with a solution in the event the buyer's inspector finds an issue, okay? So if you know your HVAC is not working, you're not going to expect a buyer to come in and replace the HVAC system. Now, it's up to you and the buyer to come up with a solution that works for both parties, okay? So I'm not saying, the seller is here to repair and replace all of the buyer's wishes. But if there's things that were affected on your watch, usually the homeowner will address them or remediate them prior to or during the due diligence period. They will come to an agreement with the buyer. So once your home inspector comes out, once your home inspector comes out, I'm being nosy. Okay, once your home inspector comes out, he'll produce a report with all their findings. Typically, an agent like myself, I'm representing the buyer. I'm going to examine the findings, and then I'm going to request repairs from the seller. Now, I have a VA client, right? When you deal with VA, sometimes the VA has special requirements because they want to protect the safety and the well-being of the purchase that the veterans make using the VA loan. So they send out an appraiser. Now, they're not going to be as thorough as an inspector, but there are some requirements. And so, with that being said, for you sellers, when having a VA buyer, you definitely want to pay close attention to the safety risks and health concerns if there are any in your property. If they're not, then it's no big deal. So with my VA client, that's one additional step, that a VA appraisal will come out. And it's no problem. Most VA deals are smooth. They take slightly longer because we have to get on the schedule of the appraiser. However, they still can be done in as little as 30 days and typically max out around 45 days. All right. Now, title search, we already discussed that. Usually the lender, if it's being financed, the lender will run the title, but the title search, this all happens during your due diligence period, as well as you'll get the governance and the requirements from the condo or the homeowners association. And it's up to you. If you decide that the homeowners association or HOA fees are $1,000 a month and you don't want to be a part of that, then that's something to consider. But you want to examine them, you want to understand the governance, and you want to make sure that you can comply or abide by these rules. In the event that one of these things come back unfavorable, or you can't work out a solution between the buyer and the seller, that is where you can now terminate the contract and get your earnest money back. You can walk away and get your earnest money back. So for you sellers, as a way to prevent terminations down the line, you typically want to address your major concerns or things that might be a concern with your listing agent. They should know about these things up front. They should be on your disclosures, or there should be a solution ready to work out with the buyer, okay? Now for you buyers, there is never a buyer that's getting financed. There should never be, whoever you're working with should never advise you not to get a home inspection. That is standard. It does cost money out of pocket, but this $300 investment is going to protect you from buying the wrong home, okay? And I can't say it enough. You should always get your property inspected. And based on that inspection report, you can either walk away and exercise your option to terminate during the due diligence period. Now, I don't want to make this sound like everything is negative. There are some really great things that come out of these inspections. You find out that you really have an awesome seller and they've really taken care of their property. When you have inspection go as well as the one that did today,